Middlesex Sport Volkswagen Racing Cup reaches round 12, and up to the grid, Joe Fulbrook is the man on pole position. 6th in race 1, you reverse the top 6 for the grid for race 2, and so he starts at the front alongside Lucas Orrock. Row 2, Stefan Di Resta and James Greenaway. Jack Walker-Tully is on row 3 with first-time winner David Sutton. There is Di Resta, whose car seemed to lack pace a little bit in race 1. We'll see how he fares now. And James Greenaway, whose dad Frank was always a good saloon car racer. Let's see what he can do from the second row of the grid. He's taken a win this year in one of the smartest cars on the circuit. Glorious weather here at Brands Hatch, late August, and the fans are ready. The grid is ready. And so race 2, 20 minutes set to get underway. As out go the lights. Good start made by Joe Fulbrook from pole position. You're riding with David Sutton, the race 1 winner, who's got a very crowded view. But look, he's all over the grass. He might even get the lead into the first corner. There's a nudge between him and Fulbrook, and Jack Walker-Tully and also James Greenaway get involved in it. And it's Greenaway that's gone way wide into the gravel. More drama. Darrell Wilson's in the wall. Big damage at Druids. Big damage for him. He's in the middle of the circuit. Cars go left and right. That's going to be a safety car, surely, because the cars ended up in the middle of the road. Quite how he got there, we didn't see. He must have got a tap from behind, and that just turned him round into the wall. So, Lucas Orrock leads, David Sutton second, Joe Fulbrook third. Rest of the field file through, but they're all going to bunch up shortly if we do get a safety car. There is Darrell Wilson. He's okay, but the team hard car is very second-hand indeed. He goes back to turn the ignition switch off, and then the marshals can drag the car out of the way. Lucas Orrock then is the leader as he works his way down towards Hawthorns. Jack Walker-Tully there, losing places. Howard Fuller's got past him, and he gets a tap in the tail from Phil House saying, come on, hurry up, get out of my way. Jack Walker-Tully was involved in that bit of touch and go at the start going into paddock. Clearly the car is not well. Now the circuit may well be clear. I was confidently predicting safety car as Jack Walker-Tully pulls onto the grass. Or maybe the car won't turn properly and it runs onto the grass, but it could well be that the track is going to be clear by the time they get back to Druids, in which case that will be great work by the marshals. And it's not taken as long to remove Darrell Wilson's car as I feared. Here they come, out of Clark Curve then. David Sutton powering on in second place. Ahead of him, remember, Lucas Orrock, and the safety car is out. It has been deployed, and so everybody lifts as the cars work their way up towards the line. The safety car leads the field through paddock, and Jack Walker-Tully surely is going to be bound for the pit lane after his dramas earlier on. Now let's try and piece together exactly what happened. David Sutton goes right up the inside and onto the grass. So he touches Fulbrook, who comes across and just touches James Greenaway, so that puts him out into the weeds. Others ran wide as well, and then Jack Walker-Tully up the inside of Darrell Wilson, and they touch, and round he goes, and Darrell Wilson at really high speed and with some force into the barriers. So Jack Walker-Tully looks like he's a retirement, gets out of the car, and the smoke and steam coming from the front of it, but that looks like it's the end of the race, sadly, for Jack Walker-Tully on the podium, remember, in race 1. The safety car for the pits. David Sutton is absolutely on his toes here. He can sense the opportunity to get ahead of Lucas Orrock, and he's saying, speed up, come on, try and get away from those queued up behind us. He felt Lucas Orrock was dawdling a bit to the line, and now David Sutton, with all of that momentum, makes his move, and that was a really easy pass. There wasn't a huge amount of defence offered up there, it seems. So David Sutton goes through. Now Orrock, rather spurred into an attack, tries to fight back as they head up the hill. David Sutton at the moment having his day of days here, ex-Formula Renault racer, won the Tony Gillam Team Hard Scholarship to come into the championship last season, and now driving for Slide Sports, he's going better than ever. He's ahead of Orrock as they make the run along Cooper Straight. Sirocco's then first and second, Golf third in the hands of Joe Fulbrook, and while they of course head towards Hawthorn, it's a very different story for the now out of the race Jack Walker-Tully.
I'm going up out of paddock and someone's just turning straight into me. He's just driving me off the track. I mean, I can only give him so much room. I'm on the grass and he's just completely turning into me. Completely unavoidable, but at the same time it could be avoided, people driving like that. But
frustrated Jack Walker-Tully. In the meantime, James Walker up the inside goes ahead of Phil House, and James Walker absolutely flying. He's a former champion, so is that man, Joe Fulbrook. And the way that James Walker is going suggests there are more places to be gained before the end. Now let's have a look at the start from on board with David Sutton. He made a really good start, And as the road opens up ahead of him, there's half a gap there, 2 wheels on the grass. He bangs mirrors with Fullbrook. Fullbrook therefore clips James Greenaway, who goes out wide, but David Sutton doesn't care. He's through, he's gone. And now he's the race leader. Orrock is second and Fullbrook is third, and fourth is Howard Fuller. The awesome car is right back in the mix. Fuller led race 1 but threw it away when he went off the road. He's about to gain third place as the cars head downhill and turn their way now through the right-hander at Hawthorn, and Joe Fullbrook suddenly loses his lead of the Golf Club. He's no longer captain, he's down to second in the Golf Club because ahead of him has gone Howard Fuller. The Siroccos, though, still up front, first and second. David Sutton running ahead of Lucas Orrock. George White, in the meantime, has managed to put himself, for the moment, ahead of the Joe McMillan-driven car. The championship is open to any Volkswagen. It really has, though, gravitated into a direct split between the Siroccos and the very latest Mark 6 Golfs. One of the fastest of the Golfs this weekend, unquestionably, has been the white one here of Howard Fuller, and he's on the back now of Lucas Orrock. So the battle for second place is becoming ever more intense as the leaders come across the line. Down they turn into paddock. Fuller swings his way through that corner. Powers uphill, and he's running on the tail of Lucas Orrock. So is there going to be a gap anywhere that he can perhaps take advantage of and have a run up the inside? It doesn't yet look likely, it's got to be said. Behind these two, you've got Joe Fullbrook, who's fading away a little bit. And Joe Fullbrook might be just looking after his tyres and waiting to see what pans out ahead of him. It may be that he genuinely does not have the pace of those ahead of him. James Walker is fifth as Fuller goes for second up on the inside, and he should go through, and he does go through. Howard Fuller goes second. That was a good move, turning onto the Grand Prix part of the circuit. Stefan de Resta, who lacked a bit of pace in race 1, is really struggling again in race 2. And there you can see George White is right on his tail. As wide goes de Resta, White challenges up on the inside line. Now let's catch up with Howard Fuller's race. This is the first move that he made of significance to go ahead of Joe Fullbrook. That put him into the lead of the Golf class, into third, and this was how he bagged second going into Surtees. Up the inside of Lucas Orrock, Howard Fuller, a much more experienced racer, and he goes through on the inside. He's had his one-off outing in the BTCC, raced in Formula Palmer Audi for a time. Good battles here. George White heads the pack of cars that includes Stefan de Resta. He in turn has got Kieran Gallagher, also somebody that's had a go in the BTCC, right up behind him. Gallagher, remember, had his big off at Alton Park at the start of the year. But Stefan de Resta just seems to have a car that is nowhere near as quick as it should be. It struggled for pace in the first race. It's doing even worse in race 2. And de Resta is going to be lucky, I think, if he gets himself in the top 10. Lucas Orrock versus Joe Fullbrook versus James Walker. They are all bunching up for third, fourth, fifth. And Howard Fuller goes for the race lead, tries to force the inside against David Sutton, creates his own gap, goes for it, goes through. That was a little bit robust, but Fuller runs out wide. He's on the grass, he's going to get back onto the circuit, but David Sutton retakes the lead. And now Lucas Orrock comes back and gets second place away from Howard Fuller. Fuller falling down the order. Now Joe Fullbrook tries to level with him and go round the outside, and he does do. He takes the place with James Walker looking for a way through as well. So Howard Fuller's race-long work to get himself into a place where he can challenge for the lead has come to nothing. On this, the last lap of the race, it looks as though David Sutton's done enough now to hang on in there, and James Walker is fighting back to try to retaliate against Howard Fuller for fourth place. Out of Stirlings they come for the last time. Checker flag is going to be at the ready. It looks as though David Sutton, though, is going to have his day of days. 2 out of 2 he's set for. He comes through Clark Curve. And a big, big slide there. That was Howard Fuller, and he makes contact with James Walker, and off he goes, straight into the barriers. That's a big whack. Sutton wins, but drama at the very last corner. And Howard Fuller is the man who has come off worse, decidedly worse, with a really wrecked car. You can see the damage that has been done. It's ripped the whole of the left rear corner apart on that car, and Howard Fuller has to clamber across the cockpit to get out. The left-hand side door won't open. And it's yet another big impact that he's sustained, and Howard Fuller, almost within sight of the flag, is a retirement. David Sutton it is then who scores the win. Now let's have a look as he turns his way through Clark Curve. A big slide from Howard Fuller, then he comes across and makes contact with Walker. That's what fires him off into the barriers. But really, the question is whether he was nudged into that slide or whether it was self-induced, and the shot didn't show us that. But what we do know is that David Sutton is the race winner. 2 out of 2 at Brands Hatch ahead of Lucas Orrock and Joe Fulbrook. What a day, though, for David Sutton.
Well, congratulations. That clearly means the world to you.
Yeah, well, the weekend's just been brilliant. We qualified first, we won yesterday, and today we started 6th, got into 2nd place on the first lap, and it just went from there, really. I had a bit, Howard Fuller caught me up, and it was quite hard to keep him behind, but we managed it, and we're over the moon. Absolutely over the moon.
We led the race at the start, which was great, but you could see that David was going to get past at some point. With the safety car, I mean, it slowed everyone up on the final turn, so I thought, okay, we're going around again, but then it pulled in the pits, so I thought, oh, okay, and then that allowed David to get down the inside the first corner, but that didn't really faze me, to be honest, because I could sense that happening anyway very quickly after the restart. So it was just a case of, after that, just trying to hustle it, so it's, you know, for the best result I could get, because to be honest, we didn't really have the pace to finish second today. There was a lot of quick cars coming through.
We're carrying 80 kilos of ballast now, as is Lucas, I think, or Stefan. Anyway, we've got a lot of ballast on. Obviously, David's got like 0 ballast or 20 kilos of ballast, and he's got DSG off the line, which enables him to get rocket starts. So very difficult for us to carry the weight and compete. A lot of quick cars coming up behind. I know Howard was coming up behind. A lot of good driving. Myself and Lucas had a fantastic race, and yeah, that's what I've come here to do, race wheel to wheel with people that can race wheel to wheel. So I'm really chuffed with that race, actually, to be honest.
So Joe Fulbrook it is, who still leads the championship, 6 points up on Lucas Orrock. Stefan De Resta is third. Then it's Aaron Mason, David Sutton and Josh Cahill to round out the top 6. And all of those points extremely important indeed, because we have only 2 more races to go in the championship. And they're coming up in September at Donington.